Hey everybody, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? I'm hanging in. Oh man. The last 2 days have been very interesting for me. Really odd. Very odd. In a good way, in a bad way, but a good way. So I meant to put out like at least 2 videos the last 2 days that never took place. And it's not because I didn't want to do the work. I did the work. Okay, so I had an amazing reading with a woman in Australia. I did an oracle card reading. An amazing person. It touched my heart and it touched her. Very thankful for that. And then I got like a lot of comments on a lot of my videos that I just was like, yay, so excited to see. And the problem is my sleep and body schedule is completely off. If anybody looks and watches the Schulman residence and watches the CME and the Sun reports with what's happening, everything is very heightened right now, and that affects my body big time. And I haven't been able to go to sleep until like 5 a.m. So like I need my sleep. So I sleep in until the afternoon sometimes, and it's like, but like the last few days, I had a friend the other day drop me off cannoli, and we had a chit chat outside. It was pretty cold, but we were chit chatting. And then another friend of mine, over like 25 years, I don't see this person that often, brought me over Norwegian krumkaga cookies his mom makes. And then we sat and talked for like a while. So by the time I got up and started like unfolding what I wanted to do, I was starting to get in a lot of pain. It's been raining and gross here in New York. So I was like, I can't like be lively and focused while reading. What a mess I would have been. So I basically was like, okay, we're going to do this today, right? And then my neighbor called me. She's like, come over. And now I like am almost done, watching The Matrix. I had another Zoom call I had to do. And oh my God, by the time I got out of there, I'm doing my neighbor a huge favor in February. But I'm just like, but it's like 11 o'clock my time right now. And I'm like, oh, I love everybody, but like, I need my time to do my prep work. So here I am. Before I begin today's topic really quick, I'm going to talk about like my matrix in the matrix. Whoosh, that happened to me today. I am a big fan of The Matrix. I view that movie as a documentary. While people laugh on me when I post that stuff on my social media, you can laugh all you want, my dears. There's a lot of truth to it being a documentary. And let's just say that this last movie that just came out, I don't care who's acting. I don't care who did not return to acting. I don't care. It's telling you what is going on in 3D hell. And it's going to tell you the next movie they make, the wonderful world they create. I'm not giving away an ending. I'm just saying, okay, brava. which then led me, after I figured out my life and so I have a bit of a different plan tonight with Mr. or Mrs. Oahspe. Because I've been getting the last 2 days and having everybody coming in, I had a lot of downloads last night. I was really out of it. Did not feel good. I was in and out of tears with just the amount of pain my body's been going through is absolutely asinine. For those of you who are new to my channel, I have rheumatoid arthritis. I've had it since I was in my early 20s. I probably had it before that. And my whole life is like blaming everything else on something else because no one knows what's wrong with me. Finally figured it out. And I'm sure I have other forms of arthritis as well. It's also genetic in my family. It runs in both my family lines. So good thing I found out my biological family, but I'm not speaking to many of them. I had to disown my father the other day. My birth father, my only parent alive, had to disown him. Great piece of work. Anyway, in these downloads, I was going to read Osiris the last time, but I ended up reading Apollo. And I did the order that I did, not realizing why. Thor, for me, needed to be read first because it deals with here, like Earth, and understanding how he's like what his role was coming here, what his, the Norse gods, the creation of Asgard, the creation of Midgard, which is Earth, and his role in playing and coming down here for that role. Apollo has been referenced by a lot of people recently. Well, not recently, but in the last few years, I've been hearing Apollo a lot, and a certain number 45 has a lot of Apollo statues all over the place, which signifies a lot. So I read Apollo, but now I'm going to read what I'm going to do with Osiris. We'll see how long this can go. I did not read the Lord's book, which is underneath Apollo. Didn't do it. And that there's no rhyme for that. It's just, it was a longer section. But when I opened up, and again, I've read the book. I read these books. I haven't read the whole Oahspe in full. It's a lot because I read a lot of different things and then I go back to books. But I did read these sections. Now, I have put down some sections from the Lord's book. It's the Lord's 5th book. And I'm going to tackle that first. I'm not going to read the whole thing at all, because I do want to read Osiris, and I might read 1 or 2 chapters and then do a follow-up episode tomorrow or whenever. And the reason for that is what the 5th book deals with. Now, in the time of now, I'm reading a lot of things in the time of now because our paradigm is shifting. And no matter what religion you're following, what books you're following, and I don't take anything to law. Like, I don't hold anything to a high esteem because there's truths in everything. Osiris plays a humongous role in our evolution as we are today. Thor set the stage. Osiris carries it out. Now, you would never think that Apollo, followed by Thor, different parts of the world, now Osiris. Now, why those three entities? Because they existed. Their energy, at least. And when I started to yesterday start making some notes, Spirit led me to some of these passages. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Like I said, I'm going to pick out the passages. And again, guys, I don't like to rant so long in the beginning of my videos. I noticed that I'm doing that, and I'm sorry. But this stuff does need to be explained. I am an empath. I am clairvoyant. I have medium abilities. When Spirit knocks on me and like, nope, that's what you're looking at and that's what you need to read, that's what my knowing tells me, I'm going to read it. And it's my spirit guides. It's whatever up there wants me to do. Everybody's different. Some passages might be for someone else, but my spirit guides know what I'm doing, and they know that these messages need to be relayed to people. So I'm saying I didn't just choose them because they sounded great. I chose them because this is what Spirit wants me to read. And that's my spirit team. Everybody's spirit team is different. Everybody's spirit team is from different parts of the world and different parts of the galaxy. Which I'm going to, before I read this, going to mention something. It might be a little controversial to some. I watched a flat earth video yesterday. Amazing. Not amazing. I'm not a proponent of flat earth as I am a proponent of the sphere, the globe. I'm not. I am more a flat earther than I am a globie. And the reason for that is the flat earth model makes sense to me. But I don't visually see the like, I get the flat thing, the whole, but I also know that it's more than that. I think it's a donut shaped, the shape, donut, shape, donut. Donut. I also believe because we are in 3D, third dimension, we don't see fourth dimension. We get glimpses of fourth dimension because Bigfoot is a fourth dimensional being. It says it in the Law of One, and numerous people who are of 4D consciousness, even though they're still in a 3D body, they have abilities to see. And sometimes you could see people capture them on film. Okay, they're existing, right? They exist. But they're in 4D. So where are they going when they zip in and out of the dimensions? We're only seeing what our eyes are allowed to see in this dimension. Some people can see beyond this dimension. Not all the time. It zips in and out. Time is just a 3D construct. Once people are aware that time, there's no time, it's just here in the now, and boop, you could be somewhere and everywhere at the same time. That's what a lot of people have to grasp. And I think when we look at the idea of Earth, with this flat earth nonsense and this debate. Okay. My whole thing is, yes, it's flat to an extent. We're not being told about the Game of Thrones theory is that there's other things on the other side of that ice wall. But I do believe that there are things outside of the firmament. Oahspe covers the firmament. And I'm a big proponent that The Simpsons has been telling us the truth, guys. Let's just put that one out there. Satan is telling you the truth. They have to. They have to tell you, and they have to mock it. And then that gives them consent to do what they like to do with us. So, yeah. I believe there's more outside of the firmament. I don't know about you, but please leave your comments. If you haven't done so already, I'm so thankful for all of you who are like, sharing, and subscribing. I was going to do an emotional video thanking all the people who've been emailing me and sending me just an incredible amount of love and telling me that, you know, I'm doing really good work and thank you. I'm finally, you know, people are finally, I'm going to get emotional, I'm sorry. People are finally finding the content that is opening them up to just looking at different perspectives. It's not every day. I did this journey all by myself. I got this book recently, but I've known about this book for a very long time. The Keys of Enoch, the same. I knew about the Keys of Enoch. I just couldn't afford to buy the book. And when I was able to afford it, I read it. Just like all my other books, I've known about channeled work for a long time. I'm in the spiritual community, learning and reading about being a medium and how to do it. And I'm still not there yet. There's definitely a block. I don't know what I'm not doing right, but everything comes in divine timing in my eyes. So when it comes, it comes. But I'm grateful for what I already have. And just to be able to share these books, and I wish that I knew about different websites and different people that had these. Some people can find these books for free. I believe in supporting the people who did the work. I'm all about it. I'm all about buying the books. I'm all about that. And I'm all about helping people, donating to people. I'm not in that position right now to do so. But I really want to thank the people who have been donating to me. It means the world to me. I was able to pay 2 bills today. Thanking everybody who's just been reaching out to me and just keeping me going. I have 2 major bills that I cannot pay this month. I'm freaking out. It's the first time I haven't been able to, like in my life, have never been able to pay a bill. Always been able to pay a bill, and 2 of them I can't. I will figure it out. But I just really, really want to thank everybody before I start. You see, yep, there's the tears. And that's just showing you guys how authentic this is. A lot of people think I'm scamming. I'm not at all. Like, look up the laws and look like what's going on in New York. It's not fun. Not fun right now. And we have to unite. At the end of the matrix, it's like, I'm out of that matrix, and people who are watching me, I'm sure you guys are as well. You're out of the matrix. You're looking in. And you have to kind of work within it, because we haven't evolved our world yet. We haven't manifested our world yet. The good, prosperous, peaceful world. And no, it's not always going to be unicorns and rainbows. It's not. at all. But we need to all understand what was done to us. And reading these books gives us a clue on what we were not told. Whether you want to believe that Oahspe is the end-all be-all of books, your Rancha is a channeled work, that he's the Enoch, all of it. Even the Bible itself. There's no end-all be-all. There's not. Because all books were manipulated. All of them. We don't know the truth. We know the truth because when you look and watch those movies again, and you look at the X-Files, and you look at all these shows, and you start, Satanists have to tell you the truth. They have to tell you what they're going to do. They do it through the media because they own it. You don't think so? There's another rabbit hole to go down. All right, guys, I had to blow my nose. That's what happens when I get emotional. Okay. So I just want everybody to realize before I start that in order for us to find the truth, we need to read these books. It is very important to find out all perspectives and perceptions. It's very important for those of us who are interested in this stuff, at least, to be able to have a platform and to be able to give our spin on things. So this is Book of Osiris, son of Jehovah, god of Lotzin. And I know I have some Oahspe followers. I'm going to shout you guys out at the end. If there is a way for me to find out where to look up how to pronounce some of these words that I know I'm butchering, not doing it intentionally. I really suck at pronouncing words. And also my teeth are, we all know that by now. Please let me know where I can find that out. In Etherian world, in the arc of seeing, known in the higher heavens of Osiris, son of Jehovah. But this is the Lord's 5th book, being contemporaneous, orneous, with the book of Osiris, son of Jehovah. As Osiris is of the higher heavens, so is the Lord's book of the lower heavens and of the earth for the same period of time. Now, when I was reading this a while back, and I'll tell you why before I get into this. I know I'm ranting a lot tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I hope you're enjoying it. So when I was on my medium journey, like a few years ago, you find these meditations on YouTube asking you to find like your spirit guides. And I'm not gonna lie, I could tell you that Osiris came to me in my meditation. And I'll leave it at that. And I don't know why or what the purpose was, but he came forward as one of my guides. And I don't say that lightly, because a lot of people who are into what I am into, like, no way, you're lying. I have nothing to lie about. I'm not amping myself up because I'm not there yet. I'd be doing medium readings if I was. I wouldn't be in my situation right now. I would be doing readings all day, making a lot of money off of people. That's not me. I'm not there yet. And I'm not gonna lie or fib to somebody and take, I'm not that person. I don't energetically do that. Never have and never will. Even my oracle card readings, it's an exchange of energy. To help me out, a small donation, and then my readings are really cheap. I don't charge much for the wealth of information that I give, because that's my duty to the world and humanity, is to help people. Back to this amazing book. So I highlighted in certain of these chapters in the Lord's 5th book, The Lower Heavens, a few of what stuck out to me, and I'm going to read them. And then we'll see how long I go. I might just read 1 or 2 of the chapters on Osiris and then I'll do another video on it. And I might cover the Apollos book, the Lord's book. I want to say that's the 3rd book. And I'll go over that, and then I'll read the rest next time. Okay. All right. So 3, the evil voice, Satan, spake to the children of man and polluted them. Polluted them. Whereupon the great spirit spoke in the firmament of heavens, saying to Hearto, son of Nymph, I bequeath the tribes of Shem forever, for they have withstood Enara Manius, my everlasting enemy. So Hearto became lord of Shem, and he banished Enara Manius down to the earth, where he busseth himself building fires for the furnaces of hell, whereof the smoke and flames come up through the earth, and are called Angi, volcanoes, that his existence might be known to men. Thus came evil from good, but the everlasting wisdom shall prevail with mortals and the spirits of heaven. All light created natural law, as a creator, abide forever. Before this time, there were 2 things in the world. Voidness was one, and vactious was the other. Speech like spoke. And the world was. So it came to pass that voidness was divided into 2 parts, the seen and the unseen worlds. Hi. Does this now not make sense, right? The seen and the unseen world. Metaphysics, guys. So I'm going to skip down. He said, 3 worlds have I made. The earth world, which is for mortals. The all high heavens, which is for pure and wise angels. And the intermediate world, which resteth on the earth. Eolin said, 3 lights have I created, the sun to rule the day, the moon to rule the night, and the burning fire for the use of man. Now, my ranting on earlier about flat Earth, something very interesting in the video that I watched came up. I'm going to get back to this really quick, but I think it's very interesting to note this when we're reading this. In the flat Earth model, the sun gives its own light source off, but they found out the moon does too. It's not the sun reflecting on the moon that's giving us what we see in the sky. The moon illuminates itself. People have taken laser pointer thermometers, very expensive equipment, and tested it out. Now, also in the flat Earth model, the sun is a simulator, and you can find those patents online. Yeah. Just some food for thought. 3 spirit lights created. 1, Ruach, which issueth out of my soul. Shem, which cometh from my lords in heaven to my souls of men. And Vas, which cometh from the spirits of the intermediate world. Halloween said, 3 states am I in: ghost, which is ever present and unchangeable; corporal, like corporal, I would imagine, which is in places like the earth and stars and sun and moon; and motion, which is everlasting unrest. So am I, Elohim, might least in 3, all places, in all place and all time. This is why Spirit made me pick these little phrases and these little sections out. Can we say omnipresent? I do believe the higher the density you are, which would be these levels we're learning through Oahspe, the different dimensions, the different densities. You go to a light body, you're ascending, your consciousness, your essence is omnipresent. How do I know this? Because my parents, up in whatever dimension I would consider heaven, or wherever their souls are, okay, mind you, everybody's soul has a different purpose. We're all part and fractals of Creator. We ascend, our physical body dies, and there's no more being thrown back into the same matrix, holographic matrix. We're not coming back. because the moon machine is gone. We're not doing this little infinity loop anymore because guess what? The harvest is happening. But we, some of us get to stay in these little bodies here. Okay, so the evil machine is gone, right? My father passed away in 2005. My mother in 2017. My father has healed and has done a lot of healing and a lot of work up there. My uncle, 2 years ago, my uncle committed suicide before I was born, his brother. And it was only 2 years ago that we can move his soul up into the light. His soul was earthbound. He was stuck. And finally got him to ascend up into the next dimension, wherever that is, to heal. So my father was helping that transition happen. But if I ever needed anything, I said, hey, Dad, can you come for a visit? And my dad comes. The last thing we did physically was he held my hand and we both cried. And my mother and him cried. We all cried together. He was in a coma. He woke up. He was crying. He knew our presence was there. It was the last time we saw him. That when he comes to me, I start hysterically crying and he holds my hand. His vibration is extremely high. That's probably why I get overwhelmed all the time when he's around me. But I know that he's doing multiple things at once. And I'm sure he's also a guardian of mine. So he's also trying to put things into my path to help me. So you can't all do those things in it, but up there you can. It's like, boop, done. Just trying to explain my method to my madness and my thinking. All right. So that's why this is why this chapter in itself, like the Lord's 5th book. Yes. 14. But it came to pass in course of time that evil voice, Satan, encompassed the earth about with serpents that spake like men and angels. And the serpents made friends with all evil, father of Enra, Manius, and the woman of the tribes of Asu, went and tempted the first men, the Ions, whereby there was born into the world of evil offspring. Very important to know that. Very, very important. In our knowing from what our history books have spoken of Osiris, serpents spoke like men and angels. I don't think this is referring to Satan as much as it is as the Anunnaki and the reptilians. And I'm not asking anybody who interprets this differently to think otherwise, but this is just as my hunch. Herto, Lord of the Earth, drove the first men out of the region of light and set airborne angels on the bound words engraved by Jehovah's hand. Wait a second. Wrong. Set of boundaries. There we go. Sorry, I forget. Of Shinvat. At the gates of the upper heaven to guard the tribes of faithists ever after. Nevertheless, evil being set on foot soon overspreadeth the earth. So here too rested his hands on his thighs and swore an oath until all light that he would drown the world and all the living. And in answer to the Lord of Seraphim, a mighty fire ship came down out of the sun region, opening the floodgate of heaven with a sea of water, and all the people perished, save the Ihans and the sacred people, friends of the Lord of earth. Does that not remind you of a certain story? Well, I don't know. Sorry for the pause there. I needed my heating pad back on. It's raining. So the Lord took the hollow of his hands and lifted up his people and gave them doves, wings, and they flew afar and came to the land where dwelleth the Lord. So it was called Shem, as proof to all the world. Okay, I'm going to skip. Her toe said, for this reason, O my beloved, shall ye not wed with the drooks, the dark people that burrow in the ground, lest your seed be polluted and your heirs go down to hell with Enra Manius. But Enra Manius, evil creator of evil, went to the Drook woman, speaking to them in a dark corner. He said, ye have of the root of Babo to make delirious fetch it to the white people that came with doves, wings, fetch, and they will eat and get drunk. And when the young men are drunk, go ye to them, for they are my gift. Can anybody imagine what Babo is? But oddly enough, if anybody ever watched Ghost Adventurers, anybody in the paranormal world, replace the B's with Z's. Wicked little bugger. Wicked little bugger. Her toe the Lord God said into the darkness, and being compassionate said, a great punishment will I visit on Enramanius. For this, his head shall droop in sorrow. But as for the Ihans being drunk, I will forgive them. And as to the newborn people, they shall become the mightiest of all people in the whole world, because they came out of both darkness and light. The darkness in them shall battle all darkness. The light that is in them shall then master over their darkness. But as for the drooks, they shall go down in the darkness forever. That statement right there is like the embodiment of what we are, in my opinion. Why do I say that? We are born with a reptilian brain. We have a reptilian part of our brain. Many of us have DNA from other races of extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings. I'm a starseed. I'm majority Palladian. I'm also a mix of everything else. And within my knowing, I'm the darkness. I'm the dark side of the light, which is still light. I am everybody's nightmare. I'm seen differently. I'm cast aside in society. I'm cast out. I take to my own talk. I'm not understood by a lot of people. A lot of people don't comprehend my concepts. A lot of people are lost with what I speak. But we have to be a mixture of both. Without the darkness, you don't know from the light. And if you only know the light, you'll never know how to defeat the dark. That was that line in itself. Okay. And I'm only on chapter 2, guys. I might have to, oh my God. But this is very important. I'm serious. This is very important, at least for me. Okay, so chapter 2, I didn't highlight that many. The men were in darkness in those days and understood not God. So accordingly, the inhabitants combined the names belonging to the neighboring tribes. That is to say, one tribe said ut, wheat. Another tribe for the same thing said yet. And another tribe said wat. And another hoot, and so on. So the after generations said, oh boy, ut, yat, wat, hoot. And this was called the Yaha language. And so great were the number and size of words used that the writings of the ancient prophets were lost because none could understand them. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to get that. The Lord spake, saying, because I desire to preserve the genealogy of my chosen, ye have applied the law to things that are worthless in my sight. Ye have built a Babel, a tower of words, so that your tongues are confounded with one another. Ye strove to reach to heaven with multitude of words, but made food for Hades. Hear then the commandments of God, because ye have built a tower of words. Ye are confounded, but I come not in anger, but to deliver you. Neither will I write more, nor teach written words, for they are only folly, save to the learned. Hereto said, love the sun and moon and all things on earth, for they are the Lord's gift. What is spirit? It flayeth away, it is nothing. Learn to prophecy by the sun and moon and stars, they tell no lies. The Lord then gave the signs of zodiac, the horses, the cows, and the lions, and sheep and birds that rule upon the earth, and upon the winds of heaven, and on the heat and cold, and the sun and the moon and the stars, and spring and summer, and fall and winter. But these things are omitted in the book because they are known in mortal histories to this day. One second. I disturbed her sleep. My old lady. Now, inquiring minds want to know, the Lord then gave the signs of zodiac. Then why are people like me persecuted? Why is my gift not from God or the Lord or the Creator, or whatever you want to call the one? Why do people seriously think that's the devil's work? In the law of one. Tarot cards. It's evil. It's the devil's work. No. When you choose to use your divine power for negative purposes, then it becomes evil. When someone does and uses their gifts for the greater good of humanity, it's from Creator. It's for the good. Just like Odin gave the runes, he sacrificed himself, plucked his eye out, and hung upside down on the tree of life. He drank of Mimir's well to get the knowledge. And he got the runes. Ra from the law of one, but Ra gave the tarot. And all of our brilliant minds back in that time looked up to the stars, looked at the alignments. Why are the pyramids of Giza in Orion's belt shape? Why are all the pyramids aligned with Orion? The constellation itself is not bad. A lot of bad things inhabit that constellation. Be damn sure they do. But it doesn't make it all bad. And that's another thing I needed to point out. This is why I'm just taking, I might just do this read aloud and save Osiris, the book of Osiris, for another reading. Because I have to put my 2 cents into this. These truths need to come out. This needs to be read. It is not fair that people don't understand this. So I hope if you're new to this, very important. The Lord saith in this day, the Cosmon era, behold, O man, in the time of Osiris, I, the Lord, raise up many philosophers on the earth, and inspire them not only to fulfill the legends of the ancients, but also to write books of disputation in order to turn man's mind away from the consolation of familiar spirits. After this manner did I inspire men to write, to wit, touching the matter of the egg, and also Anraminius, they appear never to have been proven, neither are they given on the authority of Hetero, the Lord of earth. It is reasonable to suppose that the great spirit divided up the worlds amongst his gods and lords, and that the earth, Behu, fell to the portion of Hetero, whilst the stars, which are also worlds like this, fell to other lords and gods. But as for the evil gods, like Anraminius, who hath ever seen one? As for Herto, the Lord, I have seen him myself, and to have thousands of other honest prophets. But when the Lord spake, it was not about foolish stories, but to teach man how to live, that he might be happy himself, and a glory to the Great Spirit. Neither did I ever hear the Lord assert that he was more than the spirit of man risen from the earth. In my opinion, therefore, the Lord is the captain over the earth and over all the spirits. But to even know this is not so great a good truth as to know how to do righteously. Of all things, therefore, man should learn, especially of what he can see and hear and prove, rather than of spirits whom he cannot prove, nor find when he wanteth them. Thought so. I have sloppy handwriting. Okay, so this is chapter 3. For I gave unto the tribes of these 2 different lands my 10 commandments and 10 invocations, to be not written, but spoken and taught from mouth to ear, to be sacred in the language given. My. I'm not even going to comment. I'm going to leave that right there for your minds to go poof. That's right. For I locked up sufficient of the panic language in Japheth as a testimony to be discovered in after years, showing that unlike Ham and Shem, a mighty nation could retain one language for thousands of years. For I foresaw the philosophers would try to prove the languages were of mortal origin, and that they would change according to the growth of knowledge among men. Even Morgan knows. Behold, I gave scriptures unto all my people, enjoining some to adhere to the text, and so I preserved the work of my hand. And because they were favored of the Lord gave them separate laws and commanded them not to mix the drooks, the which commandment they kept for the more than thousands of years. But in the course of time, the Parseans were tempted by the drooks and fell from their high estate and became cannibals. 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 And the Lord sent the Gideons, to whom he delivered his oral scriptures, to travel in search of his people. And lo and behold, 10 tribes of the Lord's people were lost in the wilderness. And this was the country of the Parseans, and that land was filled with wild goats. Hence came the name Land of Goats. And the lost tribes, not being flesh eaters, were at a loss for food. And they said, come, let us live on goat's milk. And they so lived for a long season, taming the goats and keeping herds of them. And they roved about, driving their herds with them, for which reason they took the name Shepherd Kings. To the shepherd kings revealed how to make leather out of skins. Neither had man any means to make this discovery. The shepherd kings made bags of leather in which they carried milk, which was thus churned, and they made butter, which was for the first butter made in this world. Chapter 4. God said, without evil preserved I the Ahin race as the foundation of my light, wherefrom I could reach forth to the tribes of darkness. For I foreordained not to go within darkness to battle it, but to stand without and give an example of righteousness for man to look upon. Neither planned I from the beginning that my chosen should labor without examples of cities and kingdoms of righteousness. The evil men and evil priests who are subjects to Satan and his hosts remain in evil, preaching righteousness without a city or a kingdom of example. But my chosen go away by themselves and build their cities as a testimony of their faith in the Father. And they practice the fullness of my commandments by their lives toward one another. And I'm skipping around. Sorry, guys, I'm like a mess and a half tonight. By the constant presence of my exalted angels, they were obsessed to righteousness, but restrained away from the evil. They were my sermon before the tribes of drooks and cannibals that covered the earth over. and by virtue of signs and miracles and by non-resistance preserved I them. For man of himself evolveth over to power and evil. Wherefore, O man, thou shalt behold my dominion over the races of men, to work righteousness and goodwill. And my examples reached into the souls of the barbarians, so that in after ages I should prepare them to hear my voice and to comprehend my commandments. For in the fullness of light amongst men, when, without my presence or the presence of my hosts, they shall understand virtue and knowledge, practicing them of their own accord, in which time men shall perceive that righteousness and peace and love toward one another are the foundation of happiness of the spirit and only light of its resurrection. Hi, fellow humans. That's what we need to be achieving right now. How do we manifest the new world, the new matrix? We leveled up out of this video game, many of us. How do we come together? How do we form this new world? How do we take that advice? The Lord said, think not that I came to one nation alone, leaving the others in darkness. I came not to one alone, but unto all the divisions of earth, according to what was required for them at times. So held I my hand over them, and they accomplished that which was designed from the beginning. It being not the will of Jehovah that men should be forever led, because forsooth this Lord saith, but that man should ultimately have the light of practicing good works organically from infancy up. The Lord said, a teacher that doeth all things for his pupil also sacrifice his pupil. He who teacheth his pupil wrongly sinneth against the Father. He who teacheth his pupil not all at all is accessory to evil. So standeth the Lord your God over the children of men. Behold, I have demonstrated that my chosen can maintain themselves unharmed against barbarians, against that by my unrestrained marriages a sacred people is quickly lost amongst barbarians. For men witnessing terrible conflicts should rather desire sons of strong limbs and arms and crafty minds to do murderous work abundantly, from which condition he had no incentive to rise in gentleness and love for the glory of the Spirit. Thou hast said man can make himself whatever he so will. So thy creator is worthless to thee. Love is the lightest of all burdens. If thou desirest not to carry their love, how didst thou carry their hate so long? Nevertheless, if thou desirest I'm reading the wrong book. but we'll go with it. Nevertheless, if thou desirest, thou can put them away. They are thine as they wilt. That spirit saying that needed to be read at this time, so sorry about that. Like half the book is up here and half the book is down here. Oh boy. Okay, so let's go back and not read the top because the top is really good. That's juicy. Not only did I leave the ruins of my cities, which had no gates of entrance, and houses without doors of entrance, that ye might have testimony of the race of Ihans. But I have shown you that only by such procedure could the barbarians be induced to a higher evolution. Hang on, guys. Morgan is being a really bad girl. Sorry, I had to pause once again. As you see, I have a cat tail right here. Cat 1, by the way. My old lady. She is my familiar. She is my everything. She rules the roost, and she's queenie of the house, so she gets to dictate where and when I do my work. So I do apologize for that. She was making a ruckus as I was reading. She wanted to play with a toy, and then she made her way over here. So we'll just have to work around that. But I thank you for sticking around, guys. As I paused again, if you are liking this content, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I have a bunch of Oahspe readings. I'm going to do a lot more. I did a really good one on Arthur Schopenhauer with metaphysics. And yeah, we're going to continue here. So I'm just going to leave it for all of what's going on to the Lord's book. We're almost in the home stretch with what I picked out. And then the next video I'll do the Oahspe top portion of the Book of Osiris. But like going back to this, there's no way I could not read the Lord's book, as I've made a lot of commentary on it already. A lot of this just is mind-blowing for me, and it's really important. Think not, O man, that I did not foresee the time when men should question whether the Great Spirit ever placed a Lord over the earth, and that men should say, behold, there is no Lord and no God. For I foresaw these times and provided angels to go in advance, to show first the evolution of the races of men from out of the lowest darkness, and the second, that the cause of the evolution came from the Great Spirit, and that was directed unto the righteousness, but had not been so, but for the Lord your God. For I left sufficient tribes unto this day who dwelleth in darkness, even cannibals, as a testimony that of themselves they possess nothing to cause a desire for evolution into knowledge and peace and industry and love and good works unto another. Will not men say one people is raised up in consequence of the presence of their neighbor, and without a Lord or a God, and angels of heaven. Now behold, I have left savages at your door, and ye raise them not, but destroy them. Showing you that even your wisest and most learned have no power in resurrection, neither have I left any way opened for the resurrection of barbarians, save by examples of faithless, who shall practice righteousness and miracles. And there shall rise up those who will do these things, and they shall succeed. Because of their success, they shall also be testimony of the Ahin race, in whom I laid the foundation for the redemption of the whole earth. Whoa. Thus the Lord established the 5 peoples who were saved from Pan, and he commanded them to preserve panic words in their respective countries, and they so preserved them, many of which exist to this day. Side note, the English language. People don't understand, they really don't, that speaking in itself is spelled casting. And the energy that comes from your words, especially in English, is a very evil sense. The vibration, speaking into manifestation, speaking your intention actually matters. That's why you have to be very careful with the words you choose and to speak positive intention into everything that you say. That's why if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. But then again, sometimes you have to say the truth. And it's not easy to say the truth when it's in harsh words. And in the course of time, they became diminutive and desired not to marry. And they came great darkness on the earth, which falling ashes and heat and fevers. And so the Lord took them up to heaven. But hoping to preserve their seed to the Lord, many of them married with the Ahins. But their children became Ahins also, neither having the silken hair, nor the musical voices of the Ahins, nor the light of the upper heavens. Those of Ham obtained to 1,200 large cities, and 3,000 small cities, being 4 million souls. But being of mixed colors, they did not become impotent, but they broke the law of God more than all other faithists, being of warm blood. Now, why did they mention that? Make your own decisions on that one. And they mixed greatly with the Ahums, and they had no kings nor queens, serving the Lord only through the city fathers. And they retained the name of Ham to the last, when they cease to exist as a separate people because of their amalgamation with the Ayuns. The tribes that went into the 2 ships to the Northland, Japan, no man could draw the line after 1,000 years betwixt them and the Ayuns, for they mangled within and were lost as Ayuns. Nevertheless, they redeemed the barbarians into wisdom and peace. God said, in the time of Osiris, thy Lord provided for the light and knowledge that had been with the Ayuns to be merged into the new races, the Gains and the Ayunans, by the Lord and his angels was such foundation laid. But this time the Ayuns could not inspire the barbarians to make leather and cloth, nor could they inspire them to industries of any kind in the way of virtue and peace. The Lord provided unto the inhabitants of the earth oracle houses, wherein the Lord could speak face to face with mortals through his angels, chosen for this purpose, and did the Lord thus teach mortals. Jehovah said, my Lord, my God, go thou, call men to one thing today, and let him worship it, and tomorrow call him to another, and let him worship it. For men shall fall down and worship anything in heaven and earth. By trying them shall men know them. For in the day of my glory, Cosmon, man shall put away all worshipful things, save me, his creator. The Lord God said, through the worshipful talents, men can be raised up. Even as to great learning, men will not pursue it till his first worship it. In the time of Osiris, the Lord named the stars in the heaven after the legendary names of gods and lords. And the Lord taught not that man should worship them, but that he should learn their glory and majesty in the firmament. I keep emphasizing that word for a reason. This is what happens when a cat is in my spot. But man forgot the Creator because the wonder of his works. Even to this day, man inclineth to view as substantial and real things that are seen and to reject all potential which is unseen. This was the command of God, Osiris, for man shall learn corporal things as well as spiritual. And I, the Lord, carried away the spirits of the dead, not suffering men and angels to commune together. But heretofore they had done this, and so had both reject the higher heavens. Jehovah saith, it is not the plan of my heavens for the spirits of the dead to remain on earth, engaging in mortal servitude and practices. Behold, the way of my kingdom is upward, rather shall men on earth seek to rise upward than the angels of heaven go downward. Hence the Lord carried away the spirits of the dead, and he turned man's judgment to learning the glories of the lower kingdoms. My whole rant in the beginning, guys. All of it. And man advanced in great learning, both of the sun, moon, and stars, and all things on the face of the earth. The Lord said, these signs have I given to men, that he may comprehend the cycles of his creator. When spiritual research is chief among men, they advance not in science, nor art, nor inventions that belong to earth. But when man is bereft of spiritual aspiration, he advanceth in corporal knowledge and inventions and investigations. These signs foreshow the changes wrought of mortals by the hands of the Almighty through his gods and lords. God said, behold, I rise up great kings and queens on the earth, and I gave them pageantry and rites and ceremonies, after the manner of heavenly things. And these I made as aspiration to the multitude, that they might learn to provide themselves with luxuries of all created things. For I desire not the man should become spiritual until the earth and all manner of savage beasts and serpents were subdued. Otherwise, man had descended into impotence and fallen on the earth. Those testimonies have I left before thee to this day, that spiritual men inclineth to shut himself up in seclusion and prayer, but that Osiris go forth to work manfully. The Lord established reciprocities between kings and queens in those days, and this was the manner thereof. The central kingdom was called the Sun Kingdom, and the others were called satellites. And the chief ruler was called the Sun King, the king of the sun. And the king maintained an observatory for determining the times and seasons of the sun, moon, earth, and stars. The name of the observatory was Temple of the Stars. The Lord said unto man, build thou a chamber unto God with the temple of stars. The man so built it, and the Lord chose seers, one for every star chamber. And the seer sat therein with a table before him, on which table sand was sprinkled. And the Lord wrote in the sand with his finger the laws of heaven and earth. Thus gave God to men the names of the stars and their seasons, and the seasons of the sun and moon and earth. And the seer gave it to the king, and the king proclaimed the words thereof. And God gave men sacred days for feasts and rites and ceremonies, according to the times of the moon and stars gave he them. Now think about what the actual pyramids were made for. And then go read channeled works by other people that are starseeds that tell you when they go into those pyramids and their energy, they're made with energy. They were made for energy, okay? But when you go in there, you're in a portal. And everything that's just been written here and I spoke happened in this time. And the king, by command of God, caused the people to watch the stars and moon and sun, so they would know the sacred days. And those sacred days were inverted. Perverted as well. Why do you think Egyptian artifacts and the hieroglyphics and everything there has been obscured. And closed off to a lot of people. There's a lot. There is so much that we need to get back to. The Keys of Enoch explains. In the Keys of Enoch explains the Sphinx and the pyramids. And that book goes hand in hand with this. Big time. Big time. It's like this book goes hand in hand with the Keys of Enoch, without a doubt. Between the language spoken, the sun, the fire letters, the language. Correlation. What's above us? The sun, the moon, the stars. And those people from down here, we need to look up. Mind you, that a lot of the people who are scientists do your own observations, do your own research, because we've been lied to about a lot. What's going on up there? The Lord said, I have days for planting and days for reaping, and the days for sailing of ships, and days for males and females. By the stars in the firmament, and by the moon's changes, shall men learn to know my times and seasons. So men took to learning from the stars and moon and sun to ascertain the will of God. And nowhere in all the world prospered men in the Osiris philosophy as in Parsi, and the Jeff and chief of all were in shepherd kings. Great became the wisdom of men in the day, and his power and glory were greater than ever before been in all the world. He established mighty kingdoms and subkingdoms over the land of Japheth and Shem and Parsi and Arabia. He excelled in the building temples and palaces, and in all manner of inventions, in the fabrics of linen and silk and wool and fine leather, in writing books and tablets, in mathematics and laws and reciprocities, in navigation and inland travel, in thermometers, barometers, and magnetic needles, and telescopes and microscopes, in chemistry and botany. Verily did the philosophers of those days know the mysteries of heaven and earth. And men became no longer thankful to God and his lords, but men became conceited, saying, the gods are fools. All things are nature and of groweth. Men had become wise in spite of God and his lords. All things evolve into higher states. It is the natural order. Neither is there any all person, Jehovah. He is void like the wind. And God saw the conceit of man, and he said, behold, he that I have rised up turneth against me. Now verily will I go away from men for a season, that he may learn wisdom. Behold, men shall also find that many of his followers, whom he rise up, turn against himself. So the Lord departed out of the star chambers, and lo and behold, the places were filled by spirits of the newly dead. who knew not the heavens above, nor the way of the Almighty. And men inquired of them, thus, behold, thou art now a spirit. Tell me, is there any God or Lord or Jehovah? And the spirits, desiring to flatter men, and withal, not knowing the heavenly kingdoms, answered, saying, Nigh, there is no God, no Lord, nor all person Jehovah. So the kings issued edicts commanding the people to no longer worship God, nor Lord, nor Jehovah. But woe for the judgment of kings and queens. Men, how, having inherited worship in his soul, ceased indeed to worship God and his lords, and even Jehovah, but instead he took to worshiping the stars. Now the spirits manifesting in the temples advised one thing through one seer, and another through another, for they were of little knowledge and wholly unorganized. So presently the kings took to war against another. Anarchy ensued, and men fell to destroying all the glories he made. Thus again, after 3,000 years of light, men went down into darkness, again fell under the obsessions of Drudras, and again became barbarian for 300 years more. So I dare to question everybody right now. I really do. I dare to question everybody right now. What do you think this time that we're living in, what do you think is happening right now? Think about it. Think about it. We're in this time of darkness. It's really bad. I'm seeing Dante's Infernos a degree, the devil in all its glory right now. The ascension is having us look up again, and not to worship the sun, the moon, the stars, but to acknowledge that there is greater knowledge above us, that there is creator, there is creator gods, there is things above us with the knowledge that we need in order to make a better earth, in order to better ourselves, in order to acknowledge that there is a higher ended wisdom that we have yet to obtain. But we're making progress. There's a lot of us who are fighting tooth and nail to ascend, to get into better awareness. We're living in hell. It's up to you and everybody who's watching to decide, where are you in this war? What are you going to do? How are you going to make it? We're here to manifest. We're here to learn. We have to do better. We have to unite together as a collective, as all one and the same. There are hybrids out there. There are people mixed. But that's all still in the design. How are we all going to come to unite? How are we going to fight this evilness and drive it away? There's still going to be a balance of good and evil that has to be maintained. Absolutely. But instead of fearing it, we need to love it. We need to understand why we're repeating this again and again and again and again and again. And many of us have lived in this time. Many of us know these stories. Many of us are now just remembering our purpose. Some of us remember being those prophets in the pyramids, getting ancient knowledge, being able to open up and see other worlds. Many of us remember those angels. Many of us remember this, while others don't, and that's okay. I'm reading these passages in hopes to help open some of you up, to help you remember what you already know within. It's all within. But we have to awaken our memories, our ancient memories within us. And that's what I'm striving to do by reading a lot of this book and the other books as well. I think it's very vital that we understand where we are, why we're here, and what our mission is. And although all of us have different missions, this is mine. I'm going to read the Book of Osiris in the next video. I might just do it after this, after I get a good drink in. I really want to thank everybody for sticking through. I really want to thank the people who have been emailing me. And if you are very much interested in studying this book, going detail to detail, there's an incredible website. It's studyofoahspe.com. I'm going to link it down in the description box. Please visit that site. It is a wealth of knowledge. It's amazing. And if you have it within you, also donate to them. If it's not for these people who are, they're deeper diving into this book. This site's incredible. Please check it out if you're interested in deep diving into Oahspe. It's big, it's massive. There's illustrations and really good stuff in here. I'm hoping eventually to get some pictures and to do maybe like a PowerPoint presentation. But that will come when I'm not being haggled by people all day, every day. Hey, I'm gonna come over for a few hours. Like I have nothing to do because I'm not working a regular job. You know, I love you guys. And it's not my soul sister. My soul sister who dropped me off cannolis, that was amazing. It's for other people. I have a lot of people who have been helping me out, and those are the people that I do want in my life, that I do want those conversations with. It's people that are just showing up out of nowhere and just capturing me for a few hours. But I guess we all need a break, right? So please, if you haven't done so, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I do oracle readings. I do oracle pulls for the collective. I do children's read alouds, that normal books, really fun books for children. If you're in the store, you're walking around, your kid is getting crazy, pop on a book. I'm really animated with those. I'm going to be putting more content out. I have a lot of visions going forward. It's just a matter of collecting all the data and putting it in a cohesive way. And I'm still working on getting that worked out. especially the gem course, the gem workshops I want to work on. I'm collecting data right now and I'm trying to piece and put everything together. So I'm working on that. And for this, I just love Oahspe. So please stick with me. I thank you all for your help and your donations. They are helping me make it through. Next month is going to be a hell of a month. Because a lot of the things that I'm going to be seeing is coming in February, if I get it. I'm in dire straits. I'm on the brink of losing a lot, and I'm trying each day to just hang on. But I can't hang on without you guys. So thank you so much for everybody who's been helping me out. With much love and light, I'm giving you all my love and light. Until the next video, please check in the comments. Please support the study of Oahspe.com. Great resource. Until the next one, have a great night, guys.